Has been withdrawn. Question 4, Bethan Jenkins.
Will the Minister make a statement on opencast mining in Wales?
Well, Minerals Planning Policy Wales sets out planning policy for minerals extraction and related development. It's supported by comprehensive advice contained in MTAN 2, which sets out the policies for opencast and deep mine coal development, including issues such as buffer zones and restoration.
Thank you, First Minister. You will know as a constituency AM that concern is building up with regards to opencasting. We have a report that says MTAN 2 needs repurposing, something your Minister said recently he was looking at. Your government has been sat on a request from me to call in East Pit for 2 years, something which I believe Gwenda Thomas has also requested. And we have a judgment which states clearly that responsibility for restoring oak regeneration owned sites remains with Celtic Energy. In light of all of this, would you support the calls by Lynn Eagle Assembly member for a moratorium on opencast sites and for a stop to current provisions so that we can have a similar moratorium as we took with regards to fracking last week?
Well, bear in mind the moratorium wouldn't help the situation in East Pit or in Park Slip. The damage was done many years ago. At the root of the problem is the fact that not enough money was set aside to restore the site when British Coal was privatised. It was a sweetener that was put there by the then UK government to privatise opencast and not make it too expensive for the opencast operators. We now find ourselves in a situation where there is a substantial gap between the money that was set aside and the money that would now be required to restore the site. My view is this is the UK government's creation, and the UK government have a responsibility to provide the funds for the people of those areas in order for those sites to be restored. It's not good enough for them simply to say, well, sorry, it's all devolved now, it's all a matter for you. You can clear up the mess that we created. And so we will seek to engage with the UK government to make sure that they are, as my parliamentary colleague Madeleine Moon MP has done, to make sure that they realise they have a responsibility to the people who live around those sites in order to see them restored.
Lynn Eagle.
First Minister, as your personal intervention into the Celtic Energy situation helped underline, there are currently huge question marks hanging over the opencast industry in Wales. A moratorium would help my constituents in Farteg, who yet again are left fighting an application that is in clear breach of MTAN 2 planning guidance. Will you listen to the growing calls now for a moratorium so that your government has the breathing space it needs to undertake the strategic review of the opencast industry in Wales that myself and others feel is absolutely vital?
Well, I say to the member that what has happened with regard to the East Pit and with Park Slip adds weight to her argument. I'll take it no further than that at this stage. What I will ask the Minister to do, or he and I will discuss this, is see what can be done in the meantime to restore confidence in the issue of opencast mining, given the current situation with regard to some sites across South Wales in particular. Not unique to Wales, but an issue that's arisen across the whole of the UK. We cannot have a situation, clearly, where we have a number of opencast sites in the future that cannot be restored because there is no money to restore them.
Antoinette Sandbach.
Well, Minister, given that, will you put all your correspondence in the public domain for the last 5 years with the UK government seeking to establish a resolution to this matter so that we can all see exactly what steps have been taken by you personally or your ministers?
Well, the responsibility lies ultimately, of course, with Oak Regeneration and with Celtic Energy, and with Neath Talbot Council in the case of Park Slip and with East Pit. Now, it is clear now that the issue is a failure in the early 1990s to secure enough money being set aside for the restoration of those sites. Either she recognises that failure or is happy to see communities live with the consequences of the failure of her party. And I say, well, she says 18 years of hanging about. I haven't been First Minister for 18 years. The Assembly hasn't been in existence for 18 years. All this happened in the early 1990s. She cannot escape, her party cannot escape responsibility for the creation of this mess. What they did was ensure that the operators did not have to put aside sufficient money for restoration in order for them to sweeten the deal for opencast mining and its privatisation. We are now dealing with those consequences, and the UK government cannot escape the consequences of the actions taken forward by their own party some 20 years ago.
Gwenda Thomas.
Will you join with me, First Minister, in congratulating Madeleine Moon, Labour MP for your constituency, for securing a Westminster debate on the 29th of January on the subject of restoration of opencast coal sites? In view of the response from the Minister of State, and I take it the party opposite would want to read that, it's well worth doing, for business and enterprise, the Minister of State for Business and Enterprise, through that debate, will you ask our Minister for Natural Resources to engage in any future discussions and to seek to ensure the paramount importance of the well-being of open-cast communities in Wales and their right to have their expectations realised in regard to the restoration of open-cast sites, along which they have lived as neighbours, sometimes as far back as 1948.
Indeed, I know the Minister is fully cited on this issue, and in view of that, I thought what was, in the circumstances, a helpful response from the Minister in Westminster, much more helpful than what we've heard from the benches opposite in the course of this debate, these questions in this chamber this afternoon. I think there is scope there now for us to discuss the issue with the UK Government to come to a solution. What people want to see with these open cast sites is a remedy being applied, restoration taking place. Certainly that is our intention in terms of, as a government, to discuss this issue now with the UK Government and to make sure that a problem that was created in Whitehall is resolved in Whitehall.
William Powell.
Diolch, Dwpwyr Lawrence. First Minister, members of the United Valleys Action Group have raised with me concerns that the developments of national significance that are envisaged in the current planning bill may serve to undermine the voice of communities faced with applications for opencast and similar development. In the context of this, and also given that your government has set its face against the possibility of any form of third-party right of appeal in such cases, what reassurance can you offer to communities, particularly coalfield communities, in this regard?
They need not fear the developments of national significance. The intention is, of course, to make sure that such developments are taken forward properly, to make sure that the resources are devoted to dealing with such applications, and then, of course, for the proper decision to be made. But they need not fear that this in some way interferes with their ability to put their case, whether it would be to a local authority in the current circumstances, or indeed to a minister in circumstances once the planning bill has been passed.